2311 Racing and Farmer Motorsports have once again filed a motion for a temporary restraining order and another preliminary injunction to remain chartered throughout 2025, but they also could lose their charters by Wednesday. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said, it's some pretty massive and major breaking lawsuit updates as once again 2311 Racing and Farmer Motorsports have filed another preliminary injunction to remain chartered throughout the remainder of 2025. Here's a statement from earlier today in reports. As reported by Bob Pockers, as expected, 2311 Racing and Farmer have filed a motion for another temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction to remain chartered for the rest of 2025. Right now, they are set to lose their charter status on Wednesday. Here's what 2311 Racing and Farmer said in new evidence. 2311 Racing filing says new evidence supports injunction. NASCAR signaled its intention immediately moved to sell or issue plaintiffs' charters to other entities, putting plaintiffs in irreparable jeopardy of never getting their charters back and going out of business. Now, NASCAR has also released their own statements in regards to the situation, and here's what they said. They basically say the new evidence doesn't make sense. They say, A, defendants invited the following statements to be included in this motion. Defendant's position is that the plaintiff's motion is improper and should be summarily rejected because it seeks the same relief as plaintiff's second preliminary injunction motion and thus ignores the Fourth Circuit's binding ruling. Defendants further note that it appears that the plaintiff's motion in an attempt by plaintiffs to continue to collect charter money from NASCAR that rightfully should go to race teams that sign charter agreements, and that plaintiffs have informed NASCAR they do not intend on returning the money irrespective of the Fourth Circuit decision. Defendants requested the court allow a response to the TRO by 5 p.m. on July 16, 2025. Defendants further submit that the parties should be directed to me and confer regarding a schedule for briefing on any motion for preliminary injunction. Continuing on, NASCAR has released a statement as well. It is unfortunate that instead of respecting the clear rulings of the Fourth Circuit, 2011 and Farmer Motorsports are now burdening the district court with a third motion for another unnecessary and inappropriate preliminary injunction. As both the First Circuit and district court suggested, NASCAR has made multiple requests to 2011 and Farmer Motorsports to present a proposal to resolve this litigation. We have yet to receive a proposal for 2011 or Front Row, as they have instead preferred to continue their damaging and distracting lawsuit. We will defend NASCAR's integrity from this baseless lawsuit forced upon the sport that threatens to divide the stakeholders committed to serving race fans everywhere. We remain focused on collaborating with the 13 race teams that signed the 2025 agreements and share our mutual goals of learning the best racing in the world following this weekend at Dover. And much of the filing has also been redacted as well. Here's what they say. Moreover, if plaintiffs lose their charter rights now, they may never be able to get them back. After the Fourth Circuit decision vacating the preliminary injunction, NASCAR's counsel sent a letter to plaintiffs on June 25, 2025, stating that NASCAR is intended to immediately undertake a process to sell or unwind the 2011 and former charters of plaintiffs purchased from Stewart-Haas Racing. These plaintiffs' buyers will also be a threat to obtain plaintiffs' other charter rights if plaintiffs are forced to relinquish them, putting plaintiffs' entire future business at risk as they cannot race as open teams on a long-term basis. This is obviously a really big deal. Obviously, we talked about this in the video that you probably saw earlier this morning, but we were expecting that 2011 and from we're going to be filing a preliminary injunction once again for the second time in a row. Let's go back to a couple weeks ago. 2011 Racing and Front Row, basically back earlier this year or at the end of last year, had filed for a preliminary injunction against NASCAR to keep their charters and be charter teams for the 2025 season. Well, they had an appeal to keep the SHR charters, of course, and they were wanting to unwind that. Well, back a couple weeks ago, they had the hearing back in early May. It took about a month for that decision to be officially finalized, and then the judges in early June announced that they'd be going ahead and saying that that decision has been overturned and it will not be granted. Then, of course, 2011 Racing and Front Row filed an appeal to have the whole Fourth Circuit appeals, all 15 judges on that appeal group, hear it, and the judges denied it. And as expected last week, it was confirmed that they were expected to file a ruling for another preliminary injunction against NASCAR to keep their charters for the 2025 season. If the judge does not grant this opportunity for a preliminary injunction, there is a very good chance that possibly by the next couple of days, which could be Wednesday, that they may be unchartered teams or organizations with starting at Dover Motor Speedway. If they do become unchartered teams or organizations at Dover Motor Speedway, they would not get as much of the money. And there has been rumors and speculation as well that 23 Lab Racing and Farmer Motorsports may be forced to go ahead and give all the money back they've received as charter teams and might have to give it to those organizations that have signed the charter agreement and give all that money back. What this could mean is that for the 32 or the 30 teams that did sign the charter agreement, they would all be getting a lot more of the purse money going forward. So it definitely would be a benefit for those teams and those organizations. This also could be a really big deal because all the drivers have contracts where they are required to have charters in their deals. Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, I believe, have vision in their contract. It was mentioned by Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck during the teardown last night after the Cup race concluded at Sonoma, where Shane Van Gisbergen put on a whooping. They basically confirmed that a lot of organizations and teams are watching this lawsuit very, very closely. And it's noted that Tyler Reddick is very, very heavily liked by many people in the industry and many in the garage. And there are a lot of people that are looking at Tyler Reddick at this particular moment in point. I also think Bubba Wallace is being looked at as well, considering Bubba Wallace brings a lot of sponsorship and a lot of funding to the table. And I would think that Bubba Wallace could be someone that could also find a really good seat going to next year if he does a return to 2311. Now, do I think we're going to see a change of drivers throughout the end of this year, before the end of the year? I don't think so. I think that's going to be too much of a hassle. I think that you will see Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, and Todd Gillen, should they not get their charters back, they will probably stick around with their organizations through the remainder of the year. But then I think you're going to see a lot of movement happening for 2026. I think all these drivers will have to find a new seat. And unfortunately, if they do lose their charters and they don't remain with their teams and organizations, it is very likely at this moment right now that they're going to be looking for stuff at the moment and looking for a new ride going into next year. Now, one thing that does need to be cleared up before I end this episode, this does not have a full effect on the lawsuit currently at the moment. There is still a very good chance and possibility that 2311 Racing and Farmer Motorsports, depending on what the outcome is, there's a very good chance and possibility that 2311 and Farmer will still end up winning the lawsuit. If they do win the lawsuit, they will get their charters back for 2026. So they could still realistically not have any issues and any changes at the moment right now. But if let's say they unwind these purchases and somehow that happens, it would not be in NASCAR's best interest to sell the charters to other organizations. There are teams that are, of course, wanting to expand next year. There's a lot of talk the Legacy Motor Club wants to become a 3-car team. There's talk Jesse Love could be part of that program. I know that Richard Childress Racing has talked about maybe expanding to a 3-car program in the past. We also hear rumors about Junior Motorsports maybe looking to have a Cup Series team down the road in the future as well. You know, Rick Ware, they're interested in expanding to a 2 or 3-car team down the road. They, of course, with TJ Bashire coming in, they're looking to expand that going into next season. At this moment in point, I think there still is a very good chance that they do win this preliminary injunction, and I do think there's a good chance they also could lose their charters as well. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the remainder of this lawsuit at this point, because again, this decision on the preliminary injunction will not have a full effect on what happens with the remainder of the lawsuit throughout the year. But again, it's just a big deal to see something like this happen, where you have two teams, of course, that are suing NASCAR at the moment right now. There's been throughout this case, it looked like originally NASCAR was going to be in position of the lawsuit. Then, of course, you had 2011 Farmer, who had the upper hand advantage with a lot of decisions. Then NASCAR's kind of taken back control. We are still in discovery phase currently at the moment. There's been talk about maybe like some sort of settlement in the past, but it seems like NASCAR is not entirely wanting to go to a settlement. The teams have been open to a settlement, to my understanding at the moment right now, but NASCAR is not wanting to back off, and they're spending tens of millions of dollars in regards to this at this moment. I think if they were to reach a settlement and come to agreement, I think then maybe they could keep their charters and things could get back to normal. But as of right now, that's not where everything stands currently at the moment. And I think we're going to be full speed into this lawsuit and full speed to the trial. Kenneth Bell has asked for them to get to litigation and get things settled because he doesn't want to really have this trial at this point, which is set for December 1st. It'll be very interesting to watch as time progresses and goes on with what happens to the remainder of this lawsuit. So that's going to be our today's special breaking news report on 2311 Informer Motorsports filing another preliminary injunction. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go jump over that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. You think 2311 Informer will keep their charters for the remainder of the year, or do you think they're going to lose their charters altogether? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're likely going to have the intros for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Dover Motor Speedway. Then on Wednesday, we should have a NASCAR news video dropping on the channel. Also, Xfinity Series race picks for Dover. Then Thursday, we'll have Cup race picks for Dover. And we'll also have some other content dropping as well. We'll have the paint scheme video dropping. Then on Friday, we'll have a NASCAR news video most likely dropping on the channel. Then Saturday and Sunday, we'll have content dropping around the Dover weekend. And then, of course, next week, we'll be heading into Indianapolis and the Brickyard. Should be a lot of great content dropping around that, as that will be the last race for TNT in 2025 as well. We got content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shane Gisberg, and Cars, Kerbush, Cobblish, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Preece, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Cleese Farland, Dodge Ram, Tony Breidinger, Frankie Munoz, Michael Jordan, Red Bull, Conor Zillich, Junior Motorsports, Carson Quaffle, Team Penske, you name it. We'll talk about all this kind of stuff on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.